Okay, well, I think we're ready to get started here. So, welcome everybody to Wednesdays with Tara. And this is one of our open call series. It's a special one. It's our first webinar, as a matter of fact. So hopefully the technology won't defeat us and we'll be able to present all these things here that we're wanting you to understand, wanting to help you with. I'm Robin Retallick of the Law of Attraction Club on the web at theloaclub.com. And with Miss Mary Beth, and we've usurped her Wednesdays with Tara session for this special meeting, but she's with us and we'll be translating for Tara. So Mary Beth, Tara, feel free to interact with us and let's keep this fairly informal. So let's talk about the subject which is near and dear to all of our hearts, and that is creating the life we want. No story, and that's a significant piece, and we'll talk some more about that because there are many stories about the way everything works, and we are in this community pretty committed to coming at this from a place of what we call the absolutes. Once again, we'll talk some more about all of that. So no story, just the ABCs of what it takes to move into that place of peace and power, fun and freedom, what we call the 2 P's and the 2 F's. And those 4 words sound like sort of very different things, do they not? But when you get into that place, when you begin to experience what we're talking about here, you begin to see that those 4 words are really different facets of the same diamond. They're just parts of the whole here. So on this call, we're talking about knowing how it all works, and making a habit, and habits, as it turned out, are very important, of thinking your way into alignment, where you probably spend maybe 40 minutes on that. Then we're going to talk a little about Create Your Life program we have for those looking for some help, maybe 5 minutes. Then we'll have comments, questions. Mary Beth will be translating for Tara, and undoubtedly we'll be making a few comments here. And of course, questions can be on the content, on the program, on anything that you like. Good. So let's get in now to the 3 components of conscious creation. And the first is understanding who you are and how it works. And let me just say up front here, is it really, really necessary to understand who you are and how it works? And the answer is, well, actually, no. Because if you can just remember to always reach for the better feeling thought, then you'll do very well in this game of life on earth. In practice, for many of us, most of us, probably for all of us on occasions, it really helps to give us confidence if we understand the way it works, because then we can stay the course. We know what we're doing is going to have an effect. We know how it's going to have an effect. And so it puts you on the right path to be able to do this, to be able to make the changes that you want to make. Secondly, we're going to talk about awareness. And this is very important. It's all about being, if you like, a conscious observer of you. It's being in the stands at the same time as you are on the field. Very important piece also. And then lastly here we're going to talk about new habits. Because if you change your habits, you change your life. And this is all about habits of thought. So there we are, the 3 components: understanding, awareness, and new habits. Let's begin with understanding. First of all, understanding who you are. Secondly, understanding the rules of the game. And thirdly, understanding the choices you can make turn out to be the 3 absolutes. If you remember up front there, I said devoid of the story as much as we can. And these absolutes sit beneath everything. Everything is built upon this. And so we find that coming from this place gives us the opportunity to step into anything, can step into the realm of all possibilities. And of course we all have stories and we'll talk about those, but it's important to understand what sits beneath all of them, and that is the 3 absolutes. Absolute number one. Who are you? You are a consciousness. You're a part of the consciousness of all it is. Call it God, call it Source, call it the universe, whatever you choose to call it. You are a part of the universal consciousness. And you'll see on the bottom of that screen there, there's a spectrum of white light, if you like, the colors in a rainbow, which is exactly what that is. And if I said to you right now, where's the boundary line, the division between red and yellow, for example? You see, there is no specific point at which it changes from one to the other. There is just more or less, more red or less red, more yellow, less yellow. And so it is with us. So it is with the pieces, if you like, with us. We're physical beings, so we tend to think in clumps. We think in boundaries. We think of that things have beginning and ends, and then we put things in boxes. And some of those boxes we often put things in are on that screen there. There's the physical you. There's the conscious you. There's the subconscious you. There's things called your inner being, if you like, and your higher self, or your inner guides, or whatever. And then there's all that is, that thing that encompasses everything. And the important thing to remember is, although those boxes can help us on many occasions to understand the pieces that we are and to talk about them in a way that makes sense, it is also important to understand that in the world of the non-physical, there are no boundaries. And so the physical you and conscious you are intertwinably mixed, and there is no solid boundary between them. And the conscious you and the subconscious you, and the subconscious you and all that other part of you, that inner being, higher self, your inner guides, whatever you want to call it, there are no boundaries there. And so just bear that in mind. Keep this diagram in mind as we work our way through this presentation here. So secondly, the second absolute is that the law of attraction is the organizing principle of everything, physical and non-physical. A couple of things about this before we get into it here. Firstly, a lot of people end up watering down the law of attraction. Even the so-called gurus who's supposed to know what it is sometimes start to go to pieces when really pressed about how absolute it is. Well, folks, we're here to tell you it is absolute. Not only does it determine your physical world, not only is it the thing that organizes your physical world around you, it also organizes your non-physical world. And that's also important to remember because, of course, in a lot of this work, this understanding of who we are, the non-physical is an important piece to understand and consider. Entities like Torah, for example, are a function of your points of attraction. It is no accident, for example, that you are on this call. You have attracted this into your experience. And so it is with everything in your world, physical and non-physical. So let's look first now at the old definition of the law of attraction. You attract into your experience, whether wanted or unwanted, that which you give your energy, focus, and attention, which is pretty good as far as it goes. It's not a bad definition, but there's a better one. Let me give you a little bit of history here. I was introduced to the law of attraction by my other half, Eva Gregory, back in about 1990, into the work of Esther Hicks channeling Abraham. At first I was skeptical about this whole process of channeling, but then it was so powerful and made so much sense and was answering so many of my questions, there had to be something to it. And then I had what I would describe as a good understanding of the law of attraction, but some persistent questions remained. And then, of course, we formed this community, 2008, and all of a sudden I had an explosion of information, access to Torah, and so on and so on. And so those unanswered questions gradually got answered. As those answers arrived, we expanded our understanding of really the way the law of attraction works, the way this whole process works. And so it was time for a new definition. And that is, you attract into your world, wanted or unwanted, not much difference there, unique to you, moment by moment, the sum of your conscious, but mostly subconscious, expectations. Now, of course, there's a lot more behind this new definition that we can't go into in the space of this call. During the program, we go into all of these things in much more detail. But for now, just let's look at what's new here. Your world is unique to you. Yes, it looks like a shared world that's out there and you're all in it and you have to deal with it and you deal with the other people in it. But it is not. It is your world. And you create it in many versions. And this seemingly solid, continuous world there is actually the intersection of your reality with a matching version of everybody else's. And it looks real, but it's yours, unique to you. It's a moment-by-moment creation. In other words, you are doing it second by second. And it's created from, it's defined by that huge tapestry of expectations that you've built up and stored away, mostly in your subconscious. You choose what to believe. Beliefs generate expectations. Expectations define reality. When you woke up this morning, you created your world around you. The bed, the floor, walls, time, gravity, it was all there. And how much focus, energy, and attention did you bring to bear to create all that? Answer, none. And so here you can see we're starting to part company with that old definition of the law of attraction. Because it's a moment-by-moment creation. The bed, the floor, the walls, time, and gravity were there because you knew they would be. Because you expected they would be. And they were. See, what we choose to believe consciously and practice into knowing, into those things we just plain know, certainties if you like, that all becomes what we know and expect subconsciously. So what determines your point of attraction? What defines your world? The answer is what you choose to believe and expect. And here's a pictorial representation, if you like, of the power of your conscious processor or your conscious capabilities versus your subconscious capabilities. You see, your subconscious processor is, you name it, 10,000 times more powerful than your conscious processor. And we spend our lives training our subconscious mind to look after us and handle the details. Folks, you couldn't stand up and walk to the door and back without your subconscious. If we told you to do that now, to walk to the door and back, consciously you'd be thinking perhaps, why am I doing this? And subconsciously you're making all the decisions, where to put your feet, how to avoid obstacles, how to balance on two legs. All of that is going on automatically. Your subconscious processor just handles it. Now, of course, many of those belief choices are no longer serving us. So it turns out that changing your life is all about teaching your subconscious the truth about who you are, the truth about what you want, and teaching it a whole new range of possibilities. And let's talk a little bit here about something we spend quite a bit of time on in the program, and that is doing stuff. You know, working hard, the need to work hard is such a mantra in our society, it's almost a religion. But folks, it ain't about doing stuff. It's all about your choices, what you think. If you leave that how-to seminar believing in your heart that you will be successful, then you will be, whether you do all that stuff they've taught you or not, because now you expect to succeed. And if you do everything they've taught you, and you don't really believe that you can do it, then nothing will work. The only purpose that doing serves is to help you believe that something will come of it. But it's not the doing that does it. It's your choice of what to believe that creates what you experience. If you believe that hard work, what we call struggle, is necessary, and many people do, then for you, hard work / struggle will be necessary. And so you'll find yourself pushing through things, doing things, having to do things you don't want to do to get to where you want to go. But if you follow that track, just be a little careful, because you're condemning yourself then to a lifetime of struggle. You will achieve one goal and then the struggle will start all over again. Folks, struggle is truly optional. It's your choice. And it's definitely not recommended. Okay, absolute number 3. Apart from 1 and 2, you are at choice in everything. You are not at choice about who you are. Essentially, you're not at choice about the law of attraction. It applies everywhere. But everything else is a choice. There is nothing you cannot be, do, or have, and there is nothing you cannot change. So here's what we call a map of everything. Well, it's not everything, but it's a lot of things. It's representative, if you like, of the absolutes, which are those things in the center there. That is, there's all that is. There's you, and there's the law of attraction, bringing stuff into your world. Everything else on this chart, this picture here, is a choice, a belief choice. Now, some of those belief choices you probably agree with. Time and gravity and the sun, the moon and the stars and the round world, and maybe you even, since you're on this call, believe that there's an entity called Torah that can give you some ideas about the nature of things. And there may be other things on this chart also that you believe in, perhaps many of them you do not. The important thing is not whether you believe in any particular one or not. The important thing here is to understand is that these are choices, these are belief choices. And as you choose to believe that whether these things exist and are real, then they become real and they exist for you. So there you are. That's the 3 absolutes. You're a part of a universal consciousness. The law of attraction is what brings everything into your experience, and everything else is a choice. So let's go now to awareness, the second of the components of conscious creation, awareness. And there's 2 parts to awareness. First part we call being self-conscious, second part being selfish. Now, being self-conscious normally means the opposite of what it sounds. In fact, being self-conscious, as it's normally used, means being so aware of other people, the presence of others, that you sort of lose yourself. But in this sense, what we mean is we want you to be conscious of yourself. We want you to be, if you like, self-aware. And by being selfish, we mean not settling for second best. We mean that once you're aware of what it is that you can bring into your experience, then deciding you're going to go for it. Let's look at this a bit. Think about your average day, or think about your day today. How many truly new conscious decisions did you really make? Because all of us, of course, have a sort of train of thought. One thought just leads to another routine. And we tend to stay on those tracks, don't we? Or if we react to something external to us, some people, what they do, or some things, most of those reactions are pretty knee-jerk automatic reactions. But it is possible to intervene in that train of thought and make different choices. So think about your day today. How many times did you consciously intervene in that train of thought? Or how many reactions did you consciously choose? Being self-conscious. Conscious creation begins with being aware, building a growing and always present awareness within you of who you are, how you feel, at all times having the background of knowing that it's your thoughts that are defining your experience. And being selfish, as we said, is not settling for second best. Don't settle for feeling negative. Nothing is more important than that you feel good. So always choose to pivot out of negativity and into positive expectation. Okay, that's awareness. Now, component number 3, new habits. You and your world are, in effect, the sum of your thinking habits. So how did you get those thinking habits? Well, over your lifetime, you've made millions of choices about what to believe. Then you practiced them until they became certainties. things you just plain know. Then they got stored away in that fabric of your expectations. Then you, mostly, forgot about them. If you started to write down everything you know about plants, planets, animals, people, everything, you'd be writing from now until the day you transition. But all that complex picture is sitting back there in that subconscious tapestry. It's, if you like, the screenplay of the movie called Your Life. You see, it's at the conscious level that you make decisions. It's the conscious you that runs this railroad here. It's the conscious you that trumps everything. However, once you've made your decisions, they are stored away. Mostly you never refer to them again. They just sit there. They become the fabric of your expectations. These are the habits you have formed about the way things are. And this is your default creation. Look around you. Look at the world around you. It is patterned from, it is defined by that fabric of expectations. Changing habits means practicing new ones. Once you have the confidence that comes from discovering what the rules of the game actually are, that understanding piece we covered at some length, then you can start the real work, the only work that really counts, and that is building some new thinking habits. So the trick here is to find processes that work for you. Collect some touchstones of feeling good that you can stick in your pocket and that you can bring out and hold whenever you need them. And then, like the joke about the tourist in Manhattan who asks, how do I get to Carnegie Hall? And the answer comes back, practice, practice, practice. What's needed here is to replace those old thinking habits with new ones and then make them automatic. So there we are, the three components of conscious creation. Understanding who you are and how it all works, awareness, becoming the conscious observer of yourself and everything, and thirdly, new habits. Change your habits, change your life. Okay, some quick words here about Create Your Life, this program that we've developed over these years here. It started out as a relatively short program and evolved to 12 months, but it's built around those three components of success, helping you get to a clear understanding of how it all works, giving you some techniques and processes that work, and then sticking with you, engaging with you, supporting you as you practice those into new habits. So here's what you get. You get a personal one-on-one with Tara. It starts with, this program is front-loaded here. It starts with, can you believe, daily one-on-one calls, short calls at a time to suit you, with a series of questions that we ask. Do you know any program that does daily calls to you? This program does. 2 small group conference calls every week, not just to show you the processes, but to support you as you learn to use them. And of course, a ton of different ways, tips and processes to help you create what you want. And along with that comes 12 months of membership in the club. We have 3 Q&A conference calls each week, plus access to the recordings. And folks, we are trying to keep this affordable. As we say here, a grande latte a day, and you've paid for it. So, starts the week after next. If you're thinking it's maybe time for a change or a breakthrough in your life, you think the next 12 months could be a turning point, you're looking forward to hanging out in that place of peace and power, fun and freedom, then we're ready to start with you the moment you commit. So, investment is 12 months, $89 a month, $8.90 one time. We want to encourage you to do it now, and so there's some bonuses following this webinar, an extra one-on-ones and some downloads and some, if you want to bring a friend and do it together, or you want to do both programs at once, then we're offering you a deal here. If you'd like a free 30-minute session with us and Tara to answer any questions you might have about the program, or anything for that matter, simply go to theloaclub.com/yes and let us know. We'll be happy to set that up and get all your questions answered. So, talking of questions, I think now's probably a good time to open the floor up a bit here. We have some folk that have already been through this program, and some of those will chime in here and make a few comments about it so you get a handle on their understanding of the program, what it did for them. And if you have any questions, then please let us know right now. Joanne, go ahead.
So when I did the Create Your Life course, the thing that was there for me was, at what point are you going to step up and really make a difference in this? And everything that you guys have presented is exactly the path that I was looking for. But the thing that was really in there that was the most important for me was getting the structure so that I could focus and be aware in a very helpful way. In other words, consistently, you know, and the tools and techniques, they all made a huge difference. Plus, I had a buddy that I still talk to these days, and it changed my life. Change your thinking, change your habits, you know, change your life. It was amazing. One of the things that Robin said on a call one time was, he said, what if you never worried about money ever again? And when he said it, it occurred like, well, that would be cool. But it's sort of yeah, that can't happen kind of place. And then in being in the course, I got to see what was at the core of that and how that could be a way to live my life. Anyway, it was pretty phenomenal, and I just love the fact that I allowed myself to do this and play the game with you guys. So thank you.
Good. All right. Thanks, Joanne. Giora, would you like to give us your perspective on all of this?
It's a strange story. When I was 20 years old, I read a few lines about Zen Buddhism, and it immediately struck me as this is what I am. And I actually read and eventually came to practice very intensely for about 12 years. And then I left for whatever reason, and for years I was looking for something that will feel true and that will answer all the questions. There are many things that I did, actually pretty good ones, but the Law of Attraction Club, strangely, a little organization, almost nothing. A few people talking. It's the first time that I feel I have the complete answers for everything. And also the connection to Terra and others is so profound. I think the biggest thing for me is the experience of being loved, of love that flows to me through the conversations. It took me some time to get used to the ideas that were new to me, that my universe is mine alone, to the simplicity of the constant and what is changing depends on my choice. The fact that there are no wrong choices, nobody can make any wrong choice. You can make a choice and see what happens and then prefer maybe another one and move from one to another. And the technique of how to move, how to change belief systems. All those things are so, I don't know how to describe it. They feel like being home, like good and simple. And again, the word comes to me, loving, really, because it gives you the possibility and to do what you want to do, to be who you want to be. So that's my experience. I mean, there's more about channeling that probably I'll talk tomorrow. I'll be happy to answer also when anybody wants to ask me.
Good. Thanks, Giora.
Okay.
Mary Beth is with us, and Mary Beth is one of those that hosts normally this Wednesday call. When I say hosts, I guess I'm the organizer, and Mary Beth does the translating for Terra. And so I'm going to invite you, Mary Beth, to bring Terra through and give us your comments on all of this. And maybe we'll have a few questions for you too.
Indeed, we are here, and first of all, we want to welcome each and every one of you. We want you to understand the power of your thought, of your consciousness, of your mind. We are here to teach you to step into those places that feel joyful, that feel good. We are here to remind you over and over and over again to choose better feeling thoughts and better feeling thoughts and better feeling thoughts. We are here to gently urge you to let go of the past. It does not serve you. It is gone. We are here to gently urge you to stop fretting about the future. We are here to teach you to be in the joyful now, and now, and now, and in each present moment, to step into a place where you are filled with love, where you are filled with joy, where you are filled with happiness, because this is the truth of who you really are. When you allow yourself to go down into those old holes, those old habits of thought that say that you are not good enough, or you can't get it right, or you'll never amount to anything, or you're not thin enough, or you're not pretty enough, or handsome enough, or you're not rich enough, you're not this, you're not that, and so you've got to hurry up and figure it out and work hard and get somewhere. Whatever it is, when you are listening to all of these things running around in your monkey mind, so to speak, you are not listening to the truth of who you are. And you are choosing to listen to all of that nonsense. It doesn't seem like it, we understand that. But as you learn more and more about how to practice being mindful, you will see that you get better and better and better at choosing your thought, at choosing how you feel. You are not a victim to your feelings. You get to choose how you feel. You get to choose what you think, you see. You are in charge, and you are infinitely powerful. You are an infinitely powerful part of Source, all that is. You are created out of love in that space of love and joy, and therefore that is what you not only deserve, that is what you are. So you are well-being itself, you are prosperity, you are perfect health, you are everything that you think you lack from time to time, or that you think you have to fix yourself to be. You already are all of that. But it is a matter of allowing yourself to get into the positive expectation of all of your good, not only once in a while, not even just day by day, but moment by moment. And we're not saying that we want to teach you to constantly be at yourself, to continually be fixing your thoughts. But we do want to teach you, to encourage you to start shifting your thoughts more and more throughout each day and let go of what isn't serving you. So we, of course, had a hand in manifesting this workshop, this course, Create Your Life. And we are loving where it has expanded to. Those who have taken it once or several times, and those who are on the graduate calls now, who have been doing these calls for quite some time now, have stepped into such a place of joy and so quickly can move into feeling better. That's not to say they never get into a slump, never fall down that hole, but they have really dedicated themselves to practicing where they're going with their thoughts, what stories they're telling. And they don't put up with much of that old storytelling, those stories where they tell themselves things aren't working, or this isn't working because, or isn't this sad, or isn't this miserable, or I'm sick because, and on and on. They don't tell those stories anymore, very, very rarely. And if they start to tell one, or even think one, they know how to quickly stop it. And they know that they feel better when they shift their thoughts. And it's not just about feeling better. They know that when they feel better, their life starts to unfold in ever more joyful, more wonderful ways, because they want to have an experience in this physical reality of their choosing. And they don't just sit around and say, oh, it would be nice if I had this, and then go on and think terrible thoughts all day long, terrible in quotation marks, not feel good thoughts. But they really spend time with all kinds of games, you could call it, meditation, all kinds of reminders about, what is it I'm thinking here? I'm not feeling so great. How can I shift this? And it may sound like it's simple, and it is, but it is your work. This is your work. And we love this course because all of our participants get in the habit of paying attention every single day, not just going to, quote, church on Sunday, so to speak. And not only do they pay attention every day, they pay attention throughout their day many, many, many times. And so those of you who will join in this course will down the road get to interact with those others who have been doing this for a while, some of whom you've heard speak on this call already, and they will greatly enhance your experience as well. So, Robin, we are over to you for now, and we welcome any questions or comments.
Yes, sure. Tara, can you talk a little bit about, there's a word we've talked about, momentum, about the sort of status quo of things, the way things are that seems to persist, and how we might overcome that, how we change that.
In other words, the habits of thought, the habits of speaking, the habits of believing get a certain direction going. Is this what you're referring to?
Yes.
And this is what you want to turn around. We have often said through this one, it is like being in a big ship in the ocean and then deciding to turn it completely around, and the strength that is needed, so to speak, to turn and turn and turn and turn around and go in a different direction. And so this is what we often say to our physical friends. It is important that you begin to take yourself by the scruff of the neck and insist on changing what you're thinking and changing what you're saying, and to absolutely stop allowing yourself to believe in the lies you've been telling yourself your whole life. And of course, some of those lies you've dropped and you've added some new ones and new stories, etc. But if they don't feel good, we promise you they are not the truth of who you are at all. And so rather than believing that that has a life of its own and you can't stop it, you see, we say to you, you can. You can, and really if you want to have a wonderful experience in the physical, you must. You must stop it by deciding to choose differently. So it is, first of all, a decision. It is a decision for you to say, I no longer want to live like this, and even more, I no longer want to think like this. I no longer want to feel like this. I want to feel good. I keep hearing about feeling good, and I keep hearing about if I think better feeling thoughts, my life will get better, but I just can't seem to get there. Well, that's because you're really not doing the work. You haven't really committed to it. And so we say to you, rather than allowing that momentum of going down that old hole into those old habits of thought time and time and time again, you have to make a declaration. You have to make a commitment and say, enough. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to stop doing that all at once. Of course not. These habits are rather persistent. They seem to have a life of their own. But in reality, you are choosing them. You are choosing to let your thoughts go to those places that don't serve you. So, again, it is about choosing to turn in the direction of feel better thoughts. It is about choosing thoughts that are uplifting, choosing thoughts that have not just hope in them, but absolute inspiration, that have absolute knowing that you can have the life that you want to have. But we do want to say this to you. You can focus on the stuff you want, the money, the house, the relationship, the healthier body, all of these things, and that is wonderful. But if you're doing it from a place where you're not feeling happy, then you're not going to get too far. And you will still get somewhere because you are asking. But if you put feeling good first, no matter what's going on in your reality, if you put feeling good first, choosing joy and happiness and we will add that connection to source, to who you really are. If you put those first, then from that place where you are feeling better and better and better, then you can very easily be in that place of well-being and ask very lightly, "Ooh, wouldn't it be nice to have this? Wouldn't it be nice to go here? And wouldn't it be nice to do that?" And you can just watch things start to come to you with ease. You have to learn to say no to those old fear habits, those old habits of worry that keep coming up, that want to drag you back down, so to speak, that seem to have a life of their own. You don't need those. They don't serve you, even though it may look like there's nothing in your bank account. If you go with the belief in that and the worry in that, you're just going to keep getting more of that. But if you refuse to see that as the truth and just keep stepping into that place of well-being, then you're going to stop that momentum in that direction. You're going to turn it around, and your momentum into that place where things are expanding for the better for you is just going to keep going. The better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets. Have we answered your question, Robin?
Magnificently, yes. Thank you.
My name is Mary, and I was responding to your earlier request for comments. The phone is registered to Candace.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Welcome, Mary.
Welcome, Mary.
Yes, my comment was, it's great to have the encouragement and the reminder to tweak our thoughts and to tweak our words, but the reminder to be looking for the good stuff. But one thing that's also good for me is to co-celebrate the joys and the changes that we discuss on the calls. Celebrating with the other people on the calls really helps to feed my belief that I can do it too. Or, if it's my joy I'm celebrating, I can have more of this. So that's the good stuff that lies beneath the course.
Yes, and we want to say here that the momentum gets going on these calls. The positive, expanded, joyful, wow momentum gets going. And all of these who have spoken, all of these physical friends who have spoken, and many others have shared so many exquisite experiences. They have shared so much appreciation and joy. And it affects everyone on the call, and the whole call becomes this swirling energy of well-being. And everyone on the call just gets uplifted and uplifted and uplifted and uplifted. And each call seems to be better than the one before. And so these three who have spoken here today have been practicing and practicing and practicing, as we said before. And they really are shining examples, so to speak, of what happens when our physical friends really choose, really decide to take their consciousness, their thoughts in hand and be mindful. This is what mindfulness really is. So we just want to thank them for sharing with us. And words don't even express, really, where they started and where they have come to now. So thank you, Mary. Go ahead, Robin.
Yes, we have a question from Jenny, and it is Tara. What's the most important element of all that you've talked about here for changing my thought habits?
Well, there are many different ways to change your habits of thought. And we would say the first and foremost is deciding that you want to do it for real, that you really want to commit to your own well-being. Not just sort of say, well, I tried that and it didn't work. I've tried it and it didn't work for me. Well, that means that you really didn't keep going and keep going and keep going with it. Remember, we have said that this is your real work. We know you have jobs and businesses and ways to bring in money and you're helping others and all these different things, but that's not your real work. Your real work is your consciousness and what you are doing with your thoughts. And when you really take that in hand and make it a habit that you remember, it's deciding, it's choosing, and then it's deciding to remember throughout the day over and over and over again to keep shifting your thoughts. It's that simple. It's not difficult. It's just that you have to really decide you're going to do it. It doesn't mean you'll do it all the time or remember all the time. Sometimes you may think you're enjoying feeling lousy, and we promise you aren't. But sometimes you'll want to just feel lousy for a while, and that's okay. But the sooner you can choose to get out of that, the sooner you can choose to start thinking better feeling thoughts, the better off you'll be and the better your life will start to unfold for you. And so we would just say, again, it is about deciding that you really want to commit to thinking better feeling thoughts, to taking your thoughts in hand, that you really want to understand that you are in charge of how you feel and what you think. It's not something that is done to you from the, quote, outside world. It's not something that is done to you from some other place in your head. You are doing it. You are choosing thoughts that don't feel good. You are choosing not to feel good. You are choosing to let yourself stay in those places that don't feel good. And we're not just talking about you. We're talking about all our physical friends, you see. And so the more often throughout the day that you can lovingly, gently, and yet with a little bit of insistence, change your thought, the better off you'll be. And the better it gets, the better it gets. And you will get to this tipping place where you start to wake up, this place where you'll start to spill over into more happiness. And you'll start to wake up that way in the morning wondering, gee, how did I get here? I have been waking up in the morning sort of dreading it my whole life. How did I get to this place where I feel better now when I open my eyes? And so there are a lot of exercises and lots of different things you can do, visualization, meditation, games, rampages of appreciation, of course. There are lots of different things you can do. But primarily we say it is deciding you want to and then starting to do it, starting to catch your thoughts. When you're not feeling good, say to yourself, I didn't think maybe I was thinking any negative thoughts, but I'm not feeling that great, so some old habit of thought is running me in the background. Now, you don't have to dig it up, but it is important that you learn to let it go and start stepping into things that feel better. And these are all things that you will be taught more clearly in the course if you choose to do that.
Good. Thanks, Tara. I thought I'd just mention one of the games we play here, Tara, and that is we have people on, just one of the many things we do, but we have people move something that they're used to having in one place. And a typical example is a waste paper basket, for example. One of our folks moved a handsail from the door of the fridge to the door of the stove and so on. As a way of understanding how you can consciously know something in one place, but subconsciously you know it's different. For example, if you move your waste paper basket, you consciously know it's now on the right instead of the left because I moved it over there. And you can think about it, and someone asked you, you would say, yes, it's now on the right. And then 2 minutes later, when you screw up that paper and throw it, you're throwing back to the left again because your subconscious knows it's back there. And so this is a really interesting exercise because when we ask people to move things like this, it takes a bit of time until you learn the new place in your bones, so to speak, in that subconscious place. But you can watch and you can see yourself learning it. And it's interesting as we go through the course here to have people do that and understand at the same time they can be changing other things in their belief systems, other expectations they have. And as they see themselves learning something simple like that, they have the confidence then to understand they can learn new things like that about what they want in their life. Well, thanks, Tara. Thanks enormously, Mary Beth. Thanks for all of you who've intersected here with us this evening. As I mentioned, we're going to have some specials here for the decision in the next few days. For those of you that have been on the call, if you're interested in knowing some more, the next thing you can do is we'd be happy to spend some time with you, talking with you one-on-one. You can talk with Tara one-on-one. And if you'd like to arrange a short call to do that, just hit contact us on lawofattractionclub.com or simply reply to one of our emails letting us know. And if you do that in the next couple of days here, we can arrange that and we'll get you into a call and we'll discuss whether this program is right for you. It's unique, we think. It's certainly put some things together in a way that nobody has, and we have found it, as we said, to be really, really effective. And so we'd love to have you with us. We'd love to invite you to join with us. And if you have some questions or you'd like to explore it some more, then please just hit contact us and we'll be happy to engage with you. Anything closing you'd like to say to Rahi before we close the call?
Indeed. We just want to encourage you, whether you come to this course or not, we want to encourage you to make that commitment to yourself. You are entitled to a joyful experience in this physical reality. You are entitled to fun, to happiness, to glorious days. And so find your way to choosing better feeling thoughts, to becoming mindful, to connecting to that greater you, to the truth of who you are. We are always here for you. We hover around your shoulders, so to speak. And there is such great love here for you. We are complete for now.
So thanks, Tara, thanks, Mary Beth, and thanks to all of you for intersecting with us here. And we look forward to being in touch and intersecting with you on one of our next calls. Tomorrow night we'll be talking a little bit more about you and your inner being and how you might communicate with that. And we'd love to have you, of course, on that call as well. So thanks, everybody, and bye for now.
Thank you, everybody. Much love. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.